You're watching Byline Wilmington on CBS 10 WILM. Here's your host, Don Ansell.
Welcome back to Byline Wilmington. I'm Rhonda Bellamy, substituting for Don Ansell, speaking today with Alan Pope, the Division Engineer for the State Department of Transportation. Earlier, we talked about some of the projects that did not make it into the funding loop due to a major shortfall in the tens of millions of dollars. Alan, if we would, let's go back to some of the local roads that did not make it in, roads in the Wilmington area. The Carr Avenue MLK Interchange did not make it in.
Well, we still have the project of Carr Avenue, which is still a project between Randall Parkway and Martin Luther King Parkway. We'll be widening that to a 4-lane facility. We're looking at actually starting construction of that in a couple of years. But the actual interchange at Martin Luther King Parkway, it was only partially funded. We had enough money in the plan to actually buy right-of-way for that interchange, and that was the piece that was actually pulled out. It was unfunded for construction.
Okay.
It's still a good project, and I think it will come back at a later date.
Gordon Road, lots of subdivisions spilling out onto this thoroughfare. That was not funded. Right.
There was 2 parts to the Gordon Road project. The first piece was to go in there and connect all those 3-lane sections where you actually had some locations in some of those subdivisions that did not have a left turn lane. The idea was to actually do that as a first part. That was the piece that was funded, it was pulled out, needing those funds to move other people elsewhere. But the second piece was to actually widen into a 4-lane divided facility, which was not funded. I still believe it'll come back someday.
The North College Road projects. I know for, in one proposal, a super street, much like we've seen in Leland, was proposed for that area. Is that still in or out?
Well, North College Road was basically a project front that started around New Center and took you all the way up past the Gordon Road interchange. Most folks that travel that route every day know the congestion of traffic coming in the morning and traffic going out in the afternoon. A lot of the hang-up is there at MLK and there at King Road. And the thought process was to make an interchange at North College and also to add additional lane in both directions to get some additional capacity and also to take the signal out at King Road and make it a flyover.
Make it a what?
A flyover. King Charles Road and King Drive would fly over top of North College Road, and you would access North College Road by the side streets. What it does is it gives us more green time and more capacity on North College Road. That project was not funded. It was partially funded, so that made it another easy pick to be able to pull off to fund other things.
Is there an estimation of how many people are impacted by those projects that were not funded?
I don't have those numbers with me, but you can basically look at the average daily traffic counts to kind of justify that reasoning.
Again, if you're just tuning in to Byline Wilmington, we're speaking with Alan Pope, Division Engineer with the State Department of Transportation. He's been the Division Engineer now for 11 years. That's after first starting with the division and this same division back in 1988?
84.
84.
I actually started working in 84.
84. Let's talk for just a minute about the North 3rd Street Improvement Plan. It's going to begin, major construction beginning on Monday.
Right. This is actually a city project. North 3rd Street was a Department of Transportation responsibility. We actually maintained that stretch of road. The city came to us with some ideas of doing some streetscaping, dividing it into a median section for parts of it, to beautify the entrance into this downtown city area. There were some things that they wanted to do that probably didn't meet our standards, and we worked out a deal where basically the city took over the maintenance of that section of North 3rd Street, and we contributed to that project. It was in a state where it was time for us to resurface it, and so what we did is we contributed the amount of money that we would have spent on the milling and resurfacing. It's going to be a beautiful project when they get through, and I'm just glad that we were able to work something out.
And so from Market Street almost to the Martin Luther King Parkway, the city is going to take over control of that, so the DOT is no longer in charge of that after fronting the money for the milling and paving of this street?
That's correct. The only exception is the bridge over the old railroad corridor. It's still ours until such time as we can replace that, and it is in the TIP a little bit further down the road to actually replace that with a culvert and take that hump out of the street that is there now.
How often does the DOT get requests to, please give us these roads, we'll take care of them?
Typically, you don't get a lot of those requests. It usually comes with a partnership. The City of Wilmington has worked very well in partnering with us to start looking at, the Department of Transportation wants to spend majority of their money where we can serve statewide needs. And the City of Wilmington has worked very well with us looking at some of those streets that only serve the City of Wilmington or local residents, and we're working toward turning those streets over to the cities, and we're taking on just the statewide needs.
Speaking of statewide needs, let's take a look at the state of some of the bypass projects that are going on. The Wilmington Bypass, for example. Well,
the Wilmington Bypass is, if I had to say, is the #1 need in the Wilmington MPO boundaries, it's the Wilmington Bypass. It is a project that has been on the books since I've been here. We've completed up to 421. We have a project, the A section down in Brunswick County, starting at 17, coming back to 74, 76, is under construction. We should be riding on that piece by 13. And it has been accelerated. The B section, the missing link, has been accelerated through a plan that the governor actually produced, and we're actually going to begin starting construction on that project in 2013, and we'll be riding on it sometime around 2018. The big bridge across the Cape Fear River is actually going to control how long that project takes to build.
Which big bridge? The Cape Fear Memorial?
No, ma'am, the Cape Fear Bridge. We actually have to cross the Cape Fear River with another large bridge. It's very similar to the one across the northeast Cape Fear River on the Wilmington Bypass today.
Okay. Now, I'd also like to get an update on the Hempstead Bypass project as well as the Brunswick Causeway.
Right.
What are we looking at in terms of timeline?
Well, the Hempstead Bypass, we're still within our environmental document phase where we're developing and gathering all the human impacts and the natural environment impacts so that we can narrow those 7 or 8 corridors down to one corridor. And hopefully by the end of this year we can say that this is our preferred corridor, and then we'll have a public hearing sometime early next year. Right now the Hempstead Bypass does have funds out, I think it's in 17, to actually start buying right-of-way. The unfortunate thing is we don't have any money for construction at this point in time. The nice thing, one of the good things, the Wilmington MPO will actually be working toward filing a corridor preservation map, which basically gives us about 3-year time frame within that corridor that they preserve for us to just stop all construction in that corridor, and gives us an opportunity to finish our document and get it where we can actually start buying some right-of-way.
And we'll pick up where we left off when we come back. We're talking with Alan O'Neill, Division Engineer for the State Department of Transportation. We're back right after this.